Now here's a brand where I've actually reviewed a couple other of their fragrances. Of course, we have Embrasé, which is an amazing freshie. And we also have Super Fusion, which is a great citrusy, musky scent. I've done reviews of both of those fragrances, so I'm going to leave links to them down below. In 2022, this brand has released a brand new fragrance. This one is called Andaluiza. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's video and I give you my thoughts on Andaluiza by J.U.S Parfums, or J.U.S Parfums if you want to give it the English pronunciation, I want to start things off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. Now, the perfumer for this fragrance is Pierre Constantin Guerros. He has done some incredible fragrances out there. And this fragrance is called Andaluiza. Now, I know that there is a community in Spain called Andalucía. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I do apologize. Spanish is not my native language in any way. And I know in English they pronounce it Andalusia. But here you have the I before the last consonant. So I think it's pronounced Andaluiza. I could be wrong about that, and I am not entirely sure what the name means, if it is some kind of a derivation from the name of this community in Spain. But nevertheless, I'm looking at the bottle, and this is a really sexy bottle with this dark burgundy sort of maroon hue to it. And I was looking at the note breakdown, and there are some dark, earthy, potentially fresh ingredients. There's ambergris, there's also vetiver. But then I saw there's also an ingredient in here, a synthetic molecule called tonka lactone, which is a very sort of a creamy, milky, sweet ingredient that can be compared to tonka bean. And so this one seems to go in a bit of a warm, resinous direction with the cistus. And then there's also a bit of freshness in the opening with mandarin. In any case, I'm excited to give you my thoughts on the smell, but let's start things off with the presentation. Now, upon initial spray, this stuff is sweet, creamy, warm, rich, and definitely on the delicious side of things. So as soon as I sprayed this, I was like, uh-oh, we have a gourmand here, and perfect timing of its release. It's great to have sweet fragrances, especially for the fall and winter, especially when it starts to get cold outside. I personally crave my gourmand fragrances right around this time of the year. And so my initial impression was, this is going to be great, right? I even got something in the opening that I thought was rather chocolatey, and I said, I can certainly go for a chocolate fragrance right now. And I'm smelling it and I'm like, what fragrance does this remind me of, right? It is its own entity. It does its own thing. It's not a direct comparison to anything else on the market per se. But in the opening, when I thought to myself, wow, I'm getting a nice bit of chocolate, initially I started to make comparisons in my mind at least to Bad Boy by Carolina Herrera. And I thought to myself, oh, this is like a sweet chocolatey fragrance, not very powdery. There are some other really warm, rich ingredients going on in here. And the more I smelled it, the more I started to feel like, okay, this is a sweet fragrance that seems to go in a few different directions. So some of the sweetness could be potentially coming from the resins that are in here, thus granting the fragrance kind of an ambery vibe in the dry down. And then some of the sweetness could be coming from that creamy, milky, rich tonka lactone ingredient. And it does kind of have like this creamy tonka bean vibe in here that I think is actually very well done. Now, in terms of the overall vibe that this fragrance creates, youthful, vibrant, sensual, flirty, perfectly unisex, but it definitely has like this easygoing, flirty, whimsical personality about it that I truly enjoy. And I think that if you are a fan of potentially some of the sweeter fragrances on the market, not to suggest that this is like you know, cavity inducing or anything like that. It totally isn't. It has a nice balance of some of the other ingredients like the vetiver, which is of the clean variety. It's not dirty or rooty or earthy or anything like that. And even the ambergris, it has a nice bit of freshness in the dry down. And so that kind of works hand in hand with the vetiver. Now in this fragrance, I feel like it's that tonka lactone and the mandarin and some of the other sweet ingredients that are definitely the driving force, but in terms of their innate nature, they never become too sweet. And I think for a lot of people that might be a good thing because the versatility and the wearability is amplified. And I do know a lot of my friends personally and a lot of people in online Facebook groups and my subscribers as well, they do appreciate a really, really sweet fragrance. And perhaps you're not going to get that with this fragrance. There's enough of a sweetness, but it's never headache inducing. It's never cloyingly sweet. It's certainly no pink sugar by Aquilina. So you definitely have to try it for yourself. See if you can secure a sample so that you can test it out for yourself and see if it's going to be up your alley. But even as I smell it now, the sweetness is nicely done. It has a certain richness about it. At times, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a latent exclusive by Marley, kind of like that spicy sort of a vanilla thing that's happening in there. And sometimes it kind of reminds me of Pegasus exclusive. It kind of has this sort of almondy, spicy, vanillic richness to it. It definitely reminds me of one of those Marley fragrances, the exclusive fragrances. It kind of has that warm, balsamic, spicy, rich DNA without the agarwood, of course, because there aren't any rough edges, nothing dark in here. But definitely try this fragrance for yourself. You may end up really, really enjoying this one, especially if you appreciate some of the darker expressions from some of your favorite brands. Another fragrance this can be compared to is Lyric by Youthful Parfums. So if you're a fan of some of the darker elements of that fragrance, definitely give it a try. But I feel like the color of the bottle really matches the overall vibe and personality of this fragrance. It's an awesome fragrance. See if you can get your nose on it. I think it's a really, really well done composition. Pierre Constantin Guerros did a fantastic job with it. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, sure, I did compare it to a few fragrances out there. Bad Boy by Carolina Herrera, Pegasus Exclusive, the dry down perhaps of Latent Exclusive without all the dark edges. And also I would compare it to Lyric by Youthful Parfums and Carte Blanche by Youthful Parfums. If you've tried any of those fragrances, this one definitely falls within that wheelhouse. It has a really nice creamy, milky, lactonic and sweet dry down that I think is very well presented in this fragrance. Longevity on this scent is going to give you a solid 8 to 9 hours. The projection was great for the first hour of application. It projected within an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 5, a skin scent right around hours 8 or 9. In terms of the versatility, completely versatile in all regards. Any season for this one, not too dark that you can only wear it in the winter time, although I think the sweetness will make one inclined to wear it in the colder weather, but this one has an even balanced sweetness. It's not overtly sweet. You can wear it any time of the year, perfectly unisex. The sweetness that's in here will appeal to somebody who's a little bit younger. Some of the darker elements will appeal to somebody who's a little bit older. And I think this one is just great for any occasion. You can wear it to work, you can wear it formally or casually as long as your budget allows for that. In terms of the presentation, I really do like the color of the cylindrical container here and also the bottle. I think it's really nicely done. Conveys a certain elegance and sensuality about it. My final verdict on this fragrance is if you are a fan of vanilla/chocolate fragrances, you want a sweetness that is not overly pronounced. It's on the ambery side of things, has a nice freshness on account of the mandarin, but also has some really nice creamy, milky, smooth touches in the dry down. Definitely check out Andaluiza by J.U.S Parfums. It's a great fragrance and a fantastic release for 2022. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you took something of value from today's review. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by clicking that red subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It would really mean a lot to me and it would help out the channel tremendously. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.